Welcome. In June of 2024, the village of Grand Cane celebrates 125 years. Strong and alive at 125. Today we welcome three distinguished residents of Grand Cane Village. First we have Mr. Arthur Lane, who is maintenance supervisor for at least the last 45 years. Arthur, please tell us your memories of Grand Cane.
Well, I was born in Shreveport in the Charity Hospital. I think it's still there on Texas Street, I believe. It's still there. And I grew up here in Grand Cane all my life. You hear me? And right over here was a farm called the Cook's Farm. We grew up over there. And my dad at Gentle Lane, some people know him, some, I imagine a lot of folks should know him around here. And he used to run the gin right across the street over there. And I can remember all the time we used to come down on the wagon with all that cotton on there and go to the gin and pull it up under that big chute that would come down, suck that cotton off of there. We were little then, we didn't know any better. We would love to do that. And until the day we found out that thing would suck you up in there. And the next time we come with on the wagon, that's the first thing we remember. Stay away from that chute. And I used to help my dad around the gym. And I really, really enjoyed it. I learned a lot too. And I've been here about 45 years now, working for Grand Cane. There used to be a school over there. I went to that school for 8 years, first through the 8th grade. It's still standing. And after that, when I went to DeSoto High School, and wasn't DeSoto, it was Mansfield Training High School. It wasn't DeSoto, it was Mansfield Training School. I went there and graduated, and left and went to Texas, stayed there a while, and came back and went to work here. At least I was called. I was working in Shreveport, but they called me when I came here, and I quit that job and started working here. And I've been here ever since. When my job was maintenance. When I got here, I did maintenance all around Grand Cane, and it seemed like they had a surprise for me. They put me on the water. I did that. The sewer, I had all that. But after a while, it was a great experience. I learned a lot. I had to go to school to get my certification for all that. And I'm still here. And the greatest thing that I liked about Grand Cane, well, not the greatest, some of the greatest things. When we was in grade school, they had these dairies. There was a lot of dairies around. Yeah. And the milk was so good, so unique, and they used to bring it around every morning from the dairy, which was cold and had this cream on it about that thick. And we would shake that stuff up. It had some little old bottles about so high, I guess it was about 8 inches high, but they were small. And we would shake it up, and that stuff was so good when we drank it. I never forgot that. As a matter of fact, I had no milk that good since. So, those were some of the good days. And there are a lot of more days I could talk about too. I could talk about when the cafe was back here. Two people used to run it, Mr. Romy Gilliard and his wife. And I didn't know what a hamburger was. And they used to have that, they used to sell that hamburger, fish, and a lot of other little things. But the fish was good, the hamburgers was so good. And it seemed like the greatest times of my life here in Grand Canyon. And there are a lot of other things I could talk about, but I'm gonna let the first guy talk about that.
Arthur, let me ask you a question. Where was the cafe?
Right back behind where the alleyway runs through there now, the alleyway. And it was sitting right on this side of the alleyway. About 40 feet from the building back there. That's what I remember.
And were there other stores there also?
Yeah, there was other stores there. There was I think Mr. Cotton had a barber shop. And back there, and it was his barber shop was over on the front street here. And there was a cleaners there too, right next door to that cafe. And I think a man named I think his name was Honey Ford used to operate that cleaners.
Arthur, were they segregated? Was this black cafe or white cafe?
Yeah, it was segregated. I mean, they do it. We had a cafe. I went to black cafe there, and the white cafe was right next door to it, but it was behind that, like right here, and about 25, 50 feet over was the black cafe, and the barber shop and all and cafe all in one building.
Thank you, Arthur. Next, we have James Edward Griffith returning after retirement to Grand Cane Village. James, please tell us your memories of Grand Cane.
Well, I just have to follow up on something Arthur said. It just brought back such good memories. And one was the milk. We had it delivered from the Richardson Cafe by two guys called Mac and Wash, and they were our good friends. And also about the cafe that was in the park, what is now the park, it was a Victory Cafe. What I remember about that, it was a very lively place. On Saturday mornings, a Victrola was playing, and you could hear the music all over town. I was born in Grand Cane within the 1 square mile village limits. It was back when doctors made calls, house calls. I was born at the corner of what is now 3rd and Holly Street, and I was delivered by Dr. Curtis. Now, we didn't have street names at that time, so we just lived in Grand Cane, and the roads were dirt. And so to find a person's house, you'd stop at one of the stores in Grand Cane, and Dr. Curtis would say, "Where does the Edward Lamar Griffith family live?" And they would point out 2 houses up this dirt road. So this is how we located places. You just stop at the post office or one of the stores. I was born the 5th of 6 children. Had 4 older sisters, and 2 years later, my bratty brother came, and we just had a lot of fun. My earliest memories are that we shopped in Grand Cane, and Grand Cane was a lively place. The sidewalks was full of people shopping. You didn't shop in Mansfield or Shreveport. Everything you needed was right here in Grand Cane. One of the stores I'll mention is Gamble Brothers. It is where the recording studio is now located. It had a meat market. They had counters and a butcher. And it was a very popular store. And right next to it was something you don't see today. It was an ice house that kept the blocks of ice. So what did you buy blocks of ice for? I still call it the ice box sometime instead of refrigerator. You would buy the block of ice, and this strong man would deliver it to the car, and you would take it and put it in this ice box. So we had ice boxes for a number of years. When I say you could buy everything in Grand Cane, yes, you could. How about clothes? Yes. They had materials that Cook and Douglas, clothes were homemade back in those days. There were flour sacks that were very colorful. Shirts were made out of flour sacks. So it wasn't necessary to travel outside of Grand Cane. You could walk to town and get anything you needed here. Or you could order something from the Sears and Roebuck catalog. That was really an exciting thing. When the new Sears and Roebuck catalog came out, you would decide what kind of clothes you want for school. You got your blue jeans you ordered. But what did you do with the old Sears Roebuck catalog? I won't go into too much detail there, but it was around the bathroom area instead of the soft tissue paper you have today. Another memory I have, that's true, the Sears and Roebuck catalog came in very handy. We moved from the house up at 3rd and Holly to a house my parents purchased, which was 1 block from the school. It's called Central School now. It was then Grand Cane High School, and I still call it Grand Cane High School, that brick building up at the end of Pine Street, and I think 2nd Street, something like that. I still don't go by street names, I just say over yonder. That 2-story brick building. When I was 5 years old, we moved to that house, 1 block from the school. It had a path that went to the school. My 4 sisters preceded me in school and usually waited for them to get home. So what did we do back before television? What kind of games did we play? Well, we were innovative. You know, when spring came, we'd take our shoes off, walk out in the clover. If we saw a feather in the air, we would blow the feather and see how long we could keep it up. We had all kinds of innovative stuff to do. So once when I was blowing that feather, I wasn't watching where I was going, and I stepped on my bare foot on a glass that cut my foot badly, so badly it had to be wrapped up, and I went to bed. And my mom came to my bedside and said, I have some sad news. President Franklin Roosevelt had just died. That's another thing about the era that I grew up in. I remember it was the war years, and there were soldiers all around Grand Cane. They had maneuvers. There were tents up all around. And these young teenage girls really enjoyed getting to know some of these Yankee guys that came to Grand Cane and stayed out in the tent cities. So it was an adventure for me, though. When I was 6 years old, there were no kindergarten. I couldn't count to 10. I couldn't read a word. I had to have the adventure of walking that path up to Grand Cane High School and finding out where to go and what to do. I found myself in the hallway with all these big kids roaming around. I didn't know what to do except cry, so I began to cry. And a nice teacher came up and said, do I need help? I said, yeah, I don't know what to do. So this teacher connected me with my 1st grade school teacher, Margaret Parker, who later became Reeves. So she told me where to sit in assembly, so I was happy. I knew where to go. And I actually began to like school until at the end of that 1st year, 2nd grade, Margaret Parker was still my teacher. The 3rd grade, she was still my teacher. We had 3 grades in one room. And the 1st grade was called up around the chairs to have their lessons, and then the 2nd grade the same way, and then the 3rd. And for our punishment, our hands were pulled back and slapped with a ruler. So that wasn't too intense, was it? Oh, yes, it hurt a little bit. Then I moved on to the 4th grade. That was really exciting. I got to change rooms and change school teachers. So Miss Della Rogers Warner was my teacher at that point. And she retired that year. She was born in 1880, so she had a lot of great stories to tell about growing up on the Rogers place. But then the 7th grade, we went upstairs. We were big kids, but I went all 12 grades through at Grand Cane High School. There were 6 of us that started. There were 100 students from 1 to 12, and of the 6, 2 failed because we had a tough teacher. So there were 4 remaining, and actually I went all the way through school, and there were 4 in my graduating class. Everyone was expected to leave home and be self-supported once they finished high school. And so I did that, I moved away, and I would come back and visit, and saw the town really deteriorated, vacant stores. But another thing I want to mention, we knew everybody in town, new people never came to town, but one day I saw two cute little girls walking the path up from Grand Cane downtown, and it happened to be the Hosey girls, so I will stop with that.
Thank you, James. Next, but certainly not least, we have Marsha Lee Richardson, our mayor of Grand Cane. Marsha, please tell us your memory of growing up in Grand Cane and also Grand Cane today.
Of course, Grand Cane's my heart, and I raised a family here. I watched it in the 50s and 60s. We still had our stores and our gas stations. And I don't know through why or what it deteriorated. And I felt like I was a part of the deterioration. But in the 90s, I was busy raising family, going to work, had to go to work to get my girls through college. And it just had lost Grand Cane. So in the 2000s, when we were supposed to, it was a big turnover to the country. And I had some family matters. And I didn't work anymore. And I came to a town meeting, and I went home and told my husband, I said, I have got to get involved. This is not the Grand Cane I know. It's not right. So I got involved, and Clayton Davis was our mayor, and that was on the town council. And first thing we did, not knowing what we were doing, was we broke the law. We all got in the same vehicle and went to Baton Rouge to a meeting, and the one thing we agreed on, that we would never, ever argue in public. We would settle the affairs of this town and bring it to the public as a united effort, not an arguing effort. And so, therefore, we were successful. But we got to Baton Rouge, and we found out that all these years, that when people paid their home insurance, the town was entitled to a percentage of that. And we had never gotten it. So, boy, we got a little over $4,000. We're on the road now. We're going to get money, because the town had never had anything to do with. So that began with that, and we noticed all our dilapidated buildings, and they were owned by people who did not live here and did not care. And they paid $14, $15 a year to own that property, and so it was no problem to them. And we began a process of restoration in the fact that some of the buildings had been declared historical. But that was it. That's just a name. It doesn't mean anything, doesn't get you anything. And so we started some resolutions about no warehousing in our historical buildings. In a process of several years, we eventually became the owners of the buildings and were able to refurbish them through grants from our local politicians who helped us and understood what we were trying to do. And now all of the buildings have got businesses in them, and the town has the revenue in the sales tax. So positive attitude, working together. Grand Cane is now prosperous again. We're working to get more so. We can now buy milk and bread and don't have to go to Mansfield or Shreveport to get our groceries. So we're on the road, but we're still a bedroom community. We don't have a public school, we have a private school. So that's hard for families struggling to make it to be able to afford a private school. So it's a hindrance to us in one way, but a blessing in another, that we have an area where you can send your children to a school that you approve of, where we still use the Bible, and we still encourage the use of that in our schools. But for me, it's been a sure pleasure, joy to make this come about and be a part of it.
Thank you, Marsha. I have a question for each one of you, and then I will let you ask each other a question. Arthur,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
do you feel that the relationships between the black and the white have improved over the years that you've been here in Grand Cane?
Will you repeat that? I
Do
didn't get it.
you feel like relationships between the black community and the white community have improved over the years?
I believe so. Yeah. It has improved. So we all have our ups and downs, but through it all, we have all come closer together than we were back then.
Right, a community.
Yeah,
that-
it's a community.
And James, I would like to ask you, when you came back to Grand Cane, did you feel like you were home?
We came back to Grand Cane as an experiment. You're my wife, you recall this. We left California intending to travel during our retirement. We lived in Tucson for a couple of years in the desert. It was nice, did a lot of hiking. We had one good friend that lived in Grand Cane that you'd known that we'd met in Washington. We thought, well, we would come to Grand Cane and try it here. So we didn't have the best attitude when we came here, but boy, what a welcome we received. Within a short time, we decided this is our home, this is where we'll stay. So we had no problem adjusting, and there's nothing like a small town. They say life is too slow in a small town. No, you can move a lot faster than you can in the cities waiting for that green arrow to turn. Things are much slower in the cities. We moved quickly here, and we've been very busy and very happy here.
Marcia, you have been mayor for 3 terms, 3 terms. Over those years, is there anything that you want to do that you have not been able to do as yet?
Of course, if you don't have a goal, you shouldn't be involved, is my thing. And I think that we have progressed a long way, but there's always room for more improvement. I don't know how to reach out and get more involvement of local people. We have live theater, we have events downtown, and very seldom do we see local people. We are attractive to those people who do not live here, and they come and want to be a part of what we are. In fact, on most of our boards right now, our leadership is coming from people that live without the city limits of Grand Cane, but see the potential here. And for whatever reason, my goal would be to see more local people care about this town and get involved, rather than sit back and criticize what has been going on, even though what's going on is very successful.
Thank you. Now, would either of you like to ask another panel member a question?
I want to ask Arthur. Arthur, I've asked you this many times and we've never been able to find it, but I don't remember when we were supposed to not like each other. I grew up with your big boy he took us everywhere, and he had a car, Mr. Pitter's car, and we all grew up Washington, Little Washington. Mac, we all played together. Gloria Gillum, well, we made mud pies together. We grew up together. We're family. We're not anything but family.
That's right. Good. That's right. And I can remember right out here, we did with our neighbors, but they was across the road and all right there. Mr. Treadway. He had some kids, and all of us grew up together. And we were just like, ain't nobody looked at us like we was black or white. We were just kids. We just had a wonderful time together. So.
Good. Thank you.
Yes, I would like to add to that also. I never knew that we were not supposed to like each other because we did. My best friends worked at the Richardson Dairy, Mac and Wash. They had jobs and they made money, and we poor little white folks didn't have jobs. I guess we didn't know how to do stuff. And Mac and Wash on payday on Saturday would always come by. They would walk down the street past our house and invite us to town. And they would buy candy and always share it with us. Once they decided they wanted an ice cream cone. Now, how do you share that? You share it only if I can have the first lick.
Thank you. Well, Marcia Lee, could you tell us about the events of Grand Cane during our celebration?
Well, we're getting ready to we have an event going on every day, and in order to be involved, you have to be here. But we have a schedule of times and all of things going on. We'll have 2 bands, one on Thursday and one on Saturday. Not sure yet what dignitaries will be here, but we hope to have some very prominent dignitaries here. But basically to share what we have in Grand Cane for others to know and come and see. We are a happy community, we really are. And so blessed to have accomplished what we have, and as we say, we're strong and alive at 125, and we're going to continue that. And I've never in my life been a defeated person. We will win.
Amen. Well, I would like to add that one of the events on Saturday is the treasure hunt, and we want people to be signing up all week to join in the treasure hunt. It will be a lot of fun. You'll get to see a lot of interesting and historical buildings in the area. Now, I would like to thank our wonderful director and filmer, Barry Larson, for doing this for us today. And Mr. Larson, do you have any questions for the panel?
Do I have any questions? I have a lot of questions. I don't know that any should be recorded.
You can edit them out.
No, I'm just kidding. I think maybe this is something that was asked at the first round of this, but from your first experiences here to now, what would you say is the biggest change, maybe from first to or beginning to now?
Arthur?
The biggest change is our freeway.
Okay.
Because I remember I used to, well, all the street used to run, come into that, and I think that's the biggest change.
Pretty big.
Well, something about coming a long way. I remember his dad, General Lane, with a side sickle and a mule. That's
Yeah.
how they mowed Grand Cane.
Right,
And I'm gonna
right.
tell you right then, there was not a weed in Grand Cane. People had a sickle and a push mower. There was no power, anything.
I
And
remember
every
that.
yard was neat, the town was neat. And now we got so much power, and look at it, nobody used it. Nobody keeps their yard, it's amazing to me. But you remember General Lee running around that mule?
Yeah. He used to deliver. He was the, what they call it, the tax, not the taxi, but he was the delivery man. They used to load that stuff on that little
Boy,
buggy and
Yeah, that's a big change now. Instead of the dirt roads with all the dust in the summer,
The windows were up and the dust would roll in your house.
that's right, we have the paved roads now. And actually, the house where I grew up, which is now the ball field, what was there was a cotton patch. They rotated crops. One was a cornfield, one year was a cornfield, and the next year they raised cotton. So this was a farming area, and instead of cattle going up 171, and 171 was no more than this little street just in front of the stores that took you to Shreveport, so we didn't go there very often. So we didn't have a lot of traffic going through here, and it took us about 2 hours to get to Shreveport, so you didn't go very often. So that's a big change. It's just the traffic, the number of automobiles, as you said. Della Warner, who was born in 1880 and was my teacher, had a Model T Ford. So there was not a lot of traffic here.
One question that was asked in the 1990 group, what did young people do for fun in Grand Cane?
Why'd you hand it to me?
Because you
Well-
had the most fun.
Well, we lived in a house that there was not anything you could do to hurt that house. It had really been lived in. And so it was the place where my sister and I managed to gather in friends. And they would have musical instruments and they would come and play and sing. And Mama would always provide peanut butter and bread and pickles and whatever for us to have. And we just enjoyed being together and singing. And there would be times when there'd be 20 kids in that house. But you could see the dirt through the floor and the outside through the wall. But it didn't matter. We were so full of love and fun. And we just had a good time there. Just had a good time.
The Hosey family brought a lot of life to Grand Cane. 2 pretty girls. So all the boys would ride their bicycles right by the Hosey house to see if they might be out on the front porch. But in addition to 2 cute little girls, the Hoseys brought a lot of ideas that we had never heard of before. we had never heard of trick or treat, so we had our first trick or treat party led by the Hosey family. We would have dances in their living room, get out the record player, the Victrola, and have dances. So they brought a lot of life to Grand Cane.
Well, there was a lot of life that was in the back behind that went on that we wanted to be like. Arthur was a good dancer.
Thank you.
We're so excited. We have 2 additional guests to speak with us today. Mr. Don Bates and Miss Becky Wagner Bates. And they've invited us out to their farm to hear of their memories of Grand Cane. Miss Becky?
Well, it's a long time back, but I was born and raised in Grand Cane. But the old house, which part of it is still over here,
Okay.
and
Did you go to school? Where did you go to school?
went to school in Grand Cane.
All right.
And I was the only one on the school bus, but they picked me up every morning and brought me back in the afternoons. And that was because I was the only one on the route until my sister got old enough to, go to school. Then she rode the bus with me. But we both went to school up there.
And what did your parents do?
Well, farming. That was,
Did you enjoy farm life?
I did. It was our livelihood.
So what do you remember as a child or young girls? What did you do for entertainment or for fun?
Well, we played basketball, and that was about that part of it. But, and
Did you go square dancing?
well, yes, after I got older, we had square dancing, and we'd have that square dancing every Saturday night. And that was after the, they built the gym. Of course, we didn't even have a gym, we just had a mud floor out there.
And what was your type of transportation? Did you have a car or did you go?
We had a car.
Ask her about the downtown.
What was the downtown like when you were
Well,
growing up? Were there stores?
there's stores. I can't remember how many, but it was,
Did you shop in Grand Cane or did you have to go to Shreveport?
not well, or anything big or anything, we had to go to Shreveport. Get ours. But that was about traveling. And there was a time there that we would catch the train and go into town
So the train came through?
through the
Grand
Grand
Cane?
Cane.
Okay.
And we could catch the train across the highway and go on into Shreveport and do whatever we had to do and then catch the train back.
How did you get your mail? Did you have to go to the post office or was it delivered to your home?
It was delivered. That's about much of it.
Well, tell us about your courtship days. Did you court a lot?
Not much.
No.
No. I about bossed everybody.
You bossed everybody. I hear a lot about the Hilltop Cafe. Can you tell us about that? Do you remember the Hilltop Cafe? Is that what it's called? The drive-in.
That was
You
in
remember
Man-
the
that was-
drive-in
That was
cafe?
in Mansfield.
Okay,
Yeah.
on the road to Mansfield. Okay. Tell us about your husband now, Mr. Don Bates. Was he rodeoing when you were married?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to the rodeos to
Oh,
watch
yeah.
him?
He was out there.
Becky, where did you meet Don? How long have you known him? When did you meet him? Where did you meet him?
I don't know when I did meet him.
You've known him a long time.
Yeah.
Turn the sound off me. Turn the sound off me. I'm gonna tell you something.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
He can edit it.
Yeah.
He can edit it out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I went to work for her daddy.
Can we use this for the video? Do you want this in the video?
Can we let,
You don't want it? Okay, cool.
I went to work for her daddy when I was 12 years old, helping him on this old place, helping him with his cows, because he had cows running on open range at that time. And I was here every day, and we was together every day. At that time, she seemed more like a sister to me than somebody that you'd want to date, you know. We just grew so close, it seemed like brother and sister. So we went our separate ways, and she married, and I married. And then in 2004, we married. So, been knowing her, she's been knowing me, and I've been knowing her all of our lives, but we stayed friends all this time, you know, and in contact with one another.
can you think of something that we could ask her that would trigger a memory?
Do you remember any of the businesses that was in Grand Cane when you was coming up?
Well, the bank was there
Yeah.
with, and who was his name?
Alton Smith? Is that the man?
That's the city hall now,
Yeah.
but no, that was the post office.
Oh.
The bank was up on the end of up here. Right about where York's got his office now, wasn't it, James?
What's that?
The bank,
Yeah, the bank was, Allison Smith was at the bank, and that's
Yeah.
the city hall now.
and it was right about there where York's got his office, wasn't it?
York? No, that was the cafe where he is. Where the coffee shop is was the post office. And that was the gathering place. Becky, you have a lot of relatives in Grand Cane. The Wagners was one of the first settlers, and you're related to just about all the old families, aren't you?
Well,
Ain't none of them left.
oh, that's right. I'm the last one there.
She got one cousin left, Lorianne Bradbury down here.
Yeah, I remember her. I remember the birthday parties we used to have out here, and she would always come.
Yeah.
But you were related to the Stories. You're
Yeah.
somehow you were related to the Stories, and
You
you
know, I'm
had.
not sure of that myself.
Miss Becky, could you tell us your age? Do you mind telling your age?
No, ma'am. I'm 89.
89. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
This past year I've had,
Do you remember your classmates who you graduated with?
Huck. Me and Huck is main ones. And who else was it in that class?
She's say-
Was Jerry Gamble in y'all's class?
He was a year older than me.
Yeah.
That was Huck
Oh,
Cook she's speaking of.
And what do you remember about Charlotte Griffiths? She was in your
and
class
Charlotte
also.
was in my class too.
Yeah.
Right,
Charlotte Griffith.
Charlotte. Well, it was me and Charlotte, and who was the other one? I can't remember. It,
There was four of y'all.
I can't either.
Huck
Oh, I know. It was Ann Brown.
and Brown. Me and Ann and Charlotte
Yeah.
were the three girls. and that was it.
Yeah.
And then you were you a year younger than me?
Well, I'm a lot younger than that than you. I'm about 4 years younger than you.
Okay.
You don't remember me
Get it
too well.
straight.
He 84, 85.
He'll be 85 next month.
I did
Yeah.
one of them. I didn't know it.
Okay,
Who was your basketball coach? You played basketball. Who was the coach?
All right.
Miss
Mr.
Biddard. Miss Biddard, wasn't it?
Well, Miss Biddard was one of them. But it was another.
Did you play basketball?
Mhm.
What did you play, guard or forward? Do you remember?
I played forward.
Forward.
Yeah. She made the goals, the baskets.
Yes.
Cool. Was the gym there, or did you play on the dirt court?
I played on the dirt, started on the dirt court. Sure did.
Wow.
Out there on the old dirt court, down in the swag.
Is the gym where the old court was? Did they build the new gym on where the old dirt court was?
No, the dirt court was down where like you went, you drive up there. Then the dirt court was just like a court on the other side.
Probably
of
where
it.
the parking lot is.
Okay. Which store did you shop for groceries in town? Do you remember the grocery stores?
Well, Cook and Douglas was the main one. And then they had the big office upstairs, and you could go in there and get a check cashed or anything there. And then on one side of it, they had a where you could go and they had a where you go in there and buy. They had piece goods, you know. You go in there and buy enough material to make your a shirt and things like that.
Do you remember something called the haunted house that we used to go out to on Halloween?
That was going out of town.
Uh-huh. And why was it considered haunted? Wasn't there a murder there?
Well, I think that was there wasn't no murder that I remember.
Well, how about a story being murdered by a sample?
Oh, okay, yeah, it was. That was, let me think.
Yeah.
You said that your parents were farmers. What did you raise? What did you grow on your farm? You remember?
Well, we had a farm,
You had cows, I
cows,
assume.
cows,
Did you have chickens?
uh-huh,
Did you have to gather the eggs or did somebody else?
yeah. Somebody had to gather them in the afternoon.
Well, there were a lot of cotton farms around here in the 40s and 50s. Did your father have cotton?
Yeah, that front field was cotton up there.
How long has this farm been in your family?
Gosh, you know, I don't know that I know that.
I'm not positive, but I think since 1836.
I think he's right too.
1836.
Mm-hmm.
A great grandfather got a Spanish land grant for 16 sections of land. But he was married twice, had 13 kids, and whenever each one of them got married, he gave them a section of land, so it just got divided all up.
Neat.
So you were the fortunate one. You got the original land. And you were raised in the house that your great-great-grandfather settled in and built, the house next
Oh,
door
yeah.
to you. And it's in good shape, it's on the historic register.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I just had one sister.
Just one sister, so two girls.
And what was her name?
Wallace Ray.
Wallace Ray.
There was just two of us.
Mr. Don, can you think of something else that you can add? When did you start
I
being,
could add a lot, but it probably don't need to be on this tape.
well, he can edit it. We want to hear some
Yeah.
We want to hear some
We
good
wanna hear
juicy
good stuff.
gossip.
The
Come
gossip,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Gotta get good stuff, yeah.
Well, Don came to the Grand Cane School for a while, and he was very popular. I remember that. He had a lot of friends.
They did.
well, I went to school in Grand Canyon my junior year and part of my senior year. But I had problems in my senior year and I left.
When did you start doing the rodeos?
Oh, I don't remember. I was 13. I don't remember what year it was. But they had a little country rodeo here in Grand Canyon every Friday night through the summer. And that's where I actually started. And then Gerald Files down on Highway 84 started one on Saturday night. So I was there too. And then I went pro and just traveled around.
And what made you decide to be a rodeo clown?
I had watched them all my life and I liked it and I wanted to be one. So,
Were you ever hurt by a bull?
yes ma'am. My right ankle's been broke twice. My left ankle's been broke 5 times.
Jeez.
I've had collarbones broke, fingers broke. I got a hole in my back where I was gored by a bull.
And you still wanted to do it?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us the cities that you
still
rode
lo-
in, where
I
you
still
traveled
love
to?
it.
Where did you travel, the cities that you were a rodeo clown?
Well, I traveled west and northwest for a while, but I never could get in the clique. There was so many older ones and good ones at that time, it was hard to infiltrate them, you know. So I moved east to the Mississippi River, and I done a lot better.
Oh.
I got to be friends with Mooney Lee and Loretta's husband. They owned the rodeo company, and he helped me a lot.
How did you happen to become friends with Mooney?
I didn't understand him.
He wanted to know how you became friends with Moody. You said he had a company.
Through the rodeo.
Mhm.
Got to be real good friends with him, and I would go to their place and stay 2 or 3 days a lot of times with him, and I got to know him and all the kids, and I knew Loretta, but most of the time she was on the road and gone when I was there, so I just got to be friends with him and the kids more so than her.
Mhm. What age was it when you retired from the rodeo?
42.
Okay. Well, what are you doing in your retirement now? Raising cattle? I see some interesting vehicles over here. There's a carriage, an old wagon. How do you happen to get involved in that?
He wants to know what are you doing now in retirement?
Sitting in my chair most of the time. No, I just fiddle around the place, do whatever I want to do.
I know that we heard that you used to go in the parades and have the wagons in the parades.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you still have any of those wagons?
Yes, ma'am. I have 2 wagons, a buggy, and a stagecoach. At this point, I don't have anything to pull them with. Lightning struck and killed my pair of mules, and I just hadn't acquired another pair yet.
Oh, no. You know, we're having a parade June the 29th, celebrating our 125th anniversary. And we're sorry that your mules are not available to pull one of your wagons.
Well, me too.
Maybe we can find 2 mules somewhere.
But I just don't have anything to pull anything with now.
Right.
Yeah.
But I will have one of these days.
You've had a very interesting life, you and Miss Becky. And we're fortunate to be able to hear some of the memories you had. We appreciate you letting us into your home.
We've had an interesting life before and after marriage. I mean, both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Since we've been married, we've traveled a lot. We went and done most everything that we wanted to do and go wherever we wanted to go. And
That's great.
we've
What do you think of Grand Cane, the village of Grand Cane now?
I'm proud of it. It was so many years when I was around here that it was just dead. There wasn't nothing there. But now, apparently every building there has a business in it.
That's right.
And I know there was some work done for it before the mayor now, but I think she has done a spectacular job since she has been there to revive the town.
I believe it.
Don just finished up bragging on you.
He did.
I got
He did.
tied up with a radio man wanting it.
Oh,
I said, I can't do it today, come back next Tuesday. So, anyway, they called the house at 9:30, I was walking out the door.
Yeah, you had a
I wasn't bragging on her, I was just stating facts.
Stating the fact, that's right.
Well, did you tell them about us being Mr. and Mrs. Grand Cane High School?
He didn't. We
He
had,
was
we
saying
had
good
to
things
talk
about
him
you.
into talking. He
Oh.
didn't want to speak at first, but we got him
You
going.
look so pretty this morning.
I just told them about your time as the mayor. I didn't tell them about the years
Oh, let's
back.
go back
I
there.
didn't tell them all about that.
You didn't tell them about getting 14 of us in the cab of your truck?
See what?
How many did you put in the cab of your truck?
I had 13 of you girls in there.
Oh, wow. Now that would have been
There's
good.
26 altogether, but I made all the boys get it back.
We were at the ranch. Remember going out to the ranch for parties?
Yes, really,
She was sitting between me and the door, and I was driving.
I'm getting in there close.
Don wasn't with you on the midnight swim at the pond, huh?
Oh, yes. You were there. Weren't you there that night I went swimming in that pond behind Payne's house?
No, I wasn't
Oh,
there.
Lord. I went home and told Mom and Daddy what I'd done. They dared me to do it, so I did it. And Daddy said,
And you
I'm
did
telling you. I did. So anyway, I got home and I told Mom and Daddy what Daddy said. Marshall, I fished that pond, and there were snakes as big around as my arm in that pond. I said, well, I didn't see any. I didn't swim long. But I was bad. If they dared me to do it, I did it. And that was bad. And I just went home and told Mama because somebody else was going to tell her if I did.
You weren't bad, you were a lot of fun.
But I would like to go skinny dipping now, but I can't. I'd have to go chunky dunking.
Chunky dunking. That's why I have a sign at I have a sign that over my pool that says we chunky dunk.
You got that off, I hope.
That's great. I love that.
that.
I've never heard that before.
Oh,
I've got a sign up on my wall that says that we chunky dunk. Yeah, I'm so glad. I knew that you would do a great job. She just knows Grand Cane or remembers it like we do.
Me and her go way back too.
I wish we could have. Wish that people could know what it was like. You know, people really cared about each other in Grand Cane, and if you didn't hear from them, they'd call. Well, what's wrong with you? I haven't heard from you. You know, just
right.
it's not that way now. It just isn't that way. Times change. Somewhere in the 70s and 80s and 90s, we let it slip away. It just kind of. I think time did it. People were. Nobody made a living in Grand Cane anymore. The farmers were gone. They were gone. Cattle people were gone. Dairy farms were gone. And so work was somewhere else, and where work is where you shop and do, and it closed everything in Grand Cane. I can see how it happened. I mean, I lived there and watched it, but it just, I don't know, I guess it had to be. Taking away individual rights is my problem. That's what it's done.
When you turn that off, I got a story I'm gonna tell, but I'm gonna make sure you got it off.
You shouldn't tell Barry that. He'll get it right on. He likes those juicy things.
Heck
Ma'am,
He likes the juicy parts. Go ahead. He'll edit it out. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, yeah.
I'm not gonna tell it till he puts it up.
Okay, and it's not recording.
It's not on.
No.
Can I believe that?
No. You really don't want to tell it with the camera on? You don't want to tell it with the camera on? Okay. Okay.
Laverne and Chester Edwards' wife. They worked the auction barn. Mama did the concession stand, and they would have yellow shirt days, and everybody that worked down there had to wear a yellow shirt. And then they'd have, just fun, just made fun out of whatever they were doing.
Are you talking about the auction barn? Yeah, that was our entertainment, to go to the auction.
That's where we played hide and seek. I ran up all down them alleys playing hide and seek.
We used to watch the auctioneer,
I would love that.
have the cattle come through.
Yeah.
And the guys with their whips.
Well, I'll say our life, like I said, I told y'all yesterday, I think we lived in the right time where we could be free to do and enjoy, and people supported us and helped us grow up, not punished us and made us, now the big thing is to punish kids, and somehow or other you need to turn around what they've done into something that they can think of as a way to maybe do something better, not always being punished. And so, I don't know.
We did a lot of walking. I know we walked all the way from where I lived to the
On the
auction
railroad
barn.
track. From Honeygal, where it was the Paynes then, from the Paynes to the overpass. And there was usually somebody sleeping on the overpass, so we'd have
That's
to
right,
get back.
yeah. I was telling Barry about the hobos that came through.
They marked your house. They always came to the back door at Mama's house.
They came to the back door.
She always fed them. So.
My mom gave one a slice of bread one time, and it made her mad when he said, "I want some butter on it."
When we had a big cistern, that's where our water came from, was that cistern. And we owned Pitter's well, and half the time, and it was a sucker rod pump, and half the time it'd be out. And so we'd have a little trickle of water, but we always had the cistern water. And we could bathe with that and all. And but the hobos would tap on the cistern. That's why they'd tap it to make Mama hear them. That back door. Yeah, a lot of fun times. Well, I'm so glad you did this, Becky Ann. I want the world to see you. I want the world to see both of you. Thriving and striving.
Yeah, that's right. They're doing well. Yeah. I guess Becky and Hooker, two of our oldest living graduates, probably. I can't think of any that might be living. I don't know.
And I don't know if Alice Center's still alive or not. Do you know? She was over in Center the last I knew about her, but I don't know if she still is or not.
Who would that be?
Alice Center.
Oh, Alice. I don't know, but she would be way up there. She would be Camille's age.
Like I say, I don't know.
Alice still living.
Who?
Alice.
Alice is
There
still
she is too.
over
at center?
Twin Center and Nacogdoches.
That's right, he's right.
Uh-huh, okay.
She
Well, I would
could
love for her
be,
to,
uh-huh.
The reason I know she wrote Douglas a letter about how had prayed for him to find the Lord, and that his soul was, and all this stuff. And he said, "What would you do if you got a letter like this?" I said, "Well, I guess I'd get on my knees and pray."
Oh, man.
So Alice was in Camille's class, so she would be up there in age.
Uh-huh, yeah.
She wrote me a letter when Camille died,
Did she? Uh-huh.
which had been about 7 or 8 years ago.
Well, lots of things. But like I said yesterday, after we turned the camera off with Arthur and got to talking, more and more came out. Arthur knows a lot about Grand Cane, old Grand Cane, and like I said, everybody had a black family. Y'all had one. We had one. Everybody they depended on us, and we depended on them. Oh gosh, yeah, it was like, yeah. No wasp bother you at night. Always a stacker in the barn had to fight the wasp. But oh gosh, those were some times. It was Doc and Eugene, and sometimes Jerry Reno hauled hay. And I don't remember if Clyde ever hauled hay or not. I don't
I
remember
don't remember that either.
But,
But I don't remember him too much.
yeah.
Don't remember Clyde too much.
Oh, I remember Clyde. He always
He
had
was a
Mansfield.
basketball player.
Yeah, and he always had Mansfield girlfriends, so we didn't like him.
Yeah. He married one of those girls, didn't he? He married his Mansfield girlfriend.
I don't remember who he married. No, he moved somewhere else for
Watson.
racing horses.
Barbara Watson.
Oh, did he?
Clyde Burgess, yeah.
And they.
I think you're right.
Yeah, he married Barbara Watson. And mentioning Jerry Reno, I remember a boxing match that Don had with Jerry Reno. You remember that?
Do you remember a boxing match with Don Reno? Jerry Reno, whatever his name.
Yes,
Well, Jerry used to go to man. He liked Glenda English. Her dad had the Pontiac place, English Pontiac. And then Tony was sweet on Jerry, and Mama told her no, but they'd sneak off, and I'd get caught in the middle. She was gonna go with me, and then we'd meet Jerry somewhere, and she'd go. Oh Lord, that was bad.
Well, I think you knocked Jerry
when
Reno
this
down.
Powell come there, he was a Golden Glove boxer. And he was going to teach us to box, And he asked if somebody wanted to box. I told him I would. He put the gloves on me, and we got in the center circle in the gym. No mat, no nothing, just that asphalt, concrete floor. Well, Jerry Reno decided, said, "Yeah, I'll box him." So he put the gloves on, got in the ring around me, and he went to dancing all around, like you'd seen him do on TV. Well, he danced up a little too close, and I bopped him one. He hit the floor and never did get up. This Powell took my gloves away from me and said, "You can't box no more. You're going to kill somebody."
You just stood still.
Oh, man.
But he was going to do all this little fancy footwork and everything, and he danced up there too close, and I just bopped him one.
So you did your senior year at Grand Cane and part of your junior year and part of your senior year, because I see your picture in the yearbook
I left
in the senior
left
year.
just before Christmas of my senior year.
Wow. So you didn't graduate from Grand Cane. So why did you decide to leave?
Dan Bailey.
You turn that thing off, I'll tell you.
In there you get all the good stuff.
Okay. I never had any of the other teachers that was there, so I don't know
I don't think there
how
were.
good they was, but Miss Martin and Miss Thompson,
Yeah,
I loved them. You couldn't beat them.
that's right.
And I told Marcia Lee yesterday about Miss Barbie. She taught me music. Well, I had to have music. So I told Miss Barbie the first day, I said, "Now, Miss Barbie, I can't sing. I don't know one note from the other. I'm not ever planning on being a musician or a singer. So I don't care about music. But I'll come in here and sit down and be quiet and won't disturb nobody. You just give me a D so I can pass. Yeah. Every morning I'd go in and I'd tell Miss Barbie how nice she looked and how good that fragrance she was wearing, smell and everything. Hell, I passed music with a B.
She was
She
our
was a
teacher that
pretty
dressed,
lady.
but she dressed. She looked like a fashion person coming out. She did. She always dressed and wore her high heel shoes.
Yeah.
But when I walked in there that morning, turned my books in, told Miss Martin I was leaving, she cried and begged me not to leave. But I said, Miss Martin, I'm wasting my time. I got to have both those subjects to graduate, and I'm failing both of them. So I said, I'm wasting my time.
Yeah, I even thought about leaving, but I've been in Grand Canyon for so long, I just stuck it out.
Yeah, sometimes
Well, I went to 3 of them trying to get along with. And I wasn't mean or
No, you
bad. I didn't like. I was mischievous now.
you were
If
fun.
I thought something was funny, I like to do it.
That's right.
No, no, you were not mean or bad at all. You were a good guy.
But when I was little down there, they whooped me so many times it was unreal. But when I got big enough, I told them, no, they wasn't whooping me no more.
Well, we had a few bullies around, and you certainly wasn't one of them. You were very kind to me, a little skinny kid.
You were very kind to him. He was a skinny kid. You were not a bully. He knew some bullies, but you were not a bully.
Well, I always wanted to treat other people like I wanted them to
Yeah,
treat
that's
me,
right.
you know. The only person in Grand Canyon I had trouble with to start with was Clyde Burgess. He thought he was the bull up there at that time.
Who
Tell
was that?
everybody what to do.
Who?
Clyde
Clyde.
Burgess.
Oh, you're right about that? Yeah,
But
yeah.
I told him, now look, we can either get along or we can't get along. But you ain't telling me what to do and when to do it.
Yeah, he's the one of the bullies I was talking about.
So, before it was over with, we were good friends. We got along good, but
Well, he didn't
I would
hang
guess-
with the bunch like we all hang. We were just a bunch, mixed up boys and girls, just a bunch that was together. And he didn't hang with us, you know.
No,
No.
do.
So that's okay.
Yeah.
Let's do without him.
but poor old Jeff, you know, a lot of the kids looked down on Jeff
Oh, well, he showed them, didn't he?
and them.
Yeah.
Cause they didn't have nothing when he was coming
No,
to school.
no.
Jeff would come to school, wouldn't have no socks on.
Oh,
Wasn't
no.
cause he was slouchy, he didn't have no socks.
No, that's right.
And you're
But they-
talking about Jeff
Jeff
Cole.
Cole.
Cole. That's
Yeah.
just for
They
that.
lived down in this Rickswell subdivision
Uh-huh.
by the airport at that time.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times Jeff had to stay, and he was younger than us, but he'd stay and watch us practice ball, or sometimes he'd practice with us. Well, he didn't have no way home then.
No.
I'd carry Jeff home,
Yeah.
because I could go through Mansfield, go home, or I could come through here and go home. And Jeff remembered that.
Well, we were talking about the number of people that didn't have cars. His family didn't have a car. They didn't have a telephone. I was just wondering how they bought food. I mean, who delivered it to them? How did they get it? I don't know.
Well, Mr. Pitter,
That-
when after school, I worked out Mr. Pitter sometimes, and everybody had their tablet. And they bought on credit, and they paid once a month. And they had a tablet. And Big Boy, which was everybody knew that he was the delivery person for Mr. Pitter, and he'd drive around, take the groceries to them. They'd call down, make an order, and sometimes they didn't pay, and sometimes they did.
But the
And other
Coles
people-
couldn't call down. They didn't have a phone.
But they would go down and they'd sign the ticket.
Sent one of the kids, I guess.
Yep. And if you wanted fresh meat, though, you had to go to Gamble's. I used to tell people,
But Jeff showed them, I've never seen so many people at a funeral, just a line of people forever, you know, at that funeral home.
"What, you talking about Jeff?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you talking about most folks didn't have cars. That's the only reason the kids in Grand Cane like me. I had a
Yeah,
ride.
truck. Richard Hawkins had a pulpwood truck and we could ride in it.
Yeah. I could either ride them in my pulpwood truck or my pickup. It didn't matter. I had a pulpwood truck all the time I'd go to school.
Oh my goodness.
That time I'd go in and I'd cut pulpwood in the evening, and I'd have me a load by Saturday. I'd load that booger up and go sell it.
Had to figure out how to get that Saturday night money.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've worked, like I said, since I was 12 years old. I saved my money, and I had a ride the time I was 14, and I had no driver's license, nothing, but it didn't make no difference back then. Wasn't nobody gonna mess with you.
No.
Well, do we have what we need, Donna?
Director?
I think we've got it. Yeah. If we can get some stuff of you asking some questions, then we'll be good. Yeah. Do you have any last thoughts or anything you want to say? Do you have any last comments or anything you want to say?
Do you have anything to add to what we've been talking about? Anything else that you can think of?
The what now?
Anything that you can think of we haven't talked about that the audience might find it very interesting?
No.
We've touched a lot of things.
Yeah.
We have.
Like I say, I can tell a lot, but I don't need it on that tape.
Well, who do you think's gonna go come get you?
Well,
All
I told
those people
Arthur-
you're talking about are dead. They're not gonna bother you.
That's why I told Arthur, I said, all the folks you talk about, they're not here anyway, so it doesn't matter. And nobody out there knows who you're talking about.
No,
So.
that's right. We look forward to another 125 years. Thank you for coming. Have a good evening. God bless. Thank you, Arthur. Next, we have James Edward Griffith. Thank you, Arthur. Next, we have James Edward Griffith. I cannot talk.
You're good.
Come more I thought, the worse I get. I cannot talk.
You're good. You're good.
More I thought, the worse I
Thank
get.
you, Arthur.
Hey,
Okay, here we go. Next,
again.
we have James Edward. Thank you, Arthur. Next, we have James Edward Griffith.
We're gonna have a blooper reel.
And that you're,
We're gonna have a blooper reel for sure.
yeah, so